Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's once again time for the WADcast, episode number 32. That's right, it is Black Friday here at the WADcast, and we're here to talk to you tonight. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the guy that never quite understood what fire sale means, Brandon.
Is that where you just like find a sailboat, you light it on fire?
Yes.
See, I know what it means.
I'm sorry, I was wrong.
It.
What's up, Brandon?
Not much, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was fine. I went and had some chicken and dumplings at the Cracker Barrel.
That's right. You can actually eat inside restaurants in Florida right now.
Yeah, you can basically do anything you want here. Everything's legal in Florida.
Meantime, California and Los Angeles, we're going into another lockdown.
Yep. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure which one of us has it worse.
Well, I mean, it's like it's really. I mean, at this point, I just say open the floodgates and let God sort them out. That's all. Like, just survival of the fittest. Whoever's got the strongest immune systems, well, you're alive to flourish and spread your germs. And those who die, that's actually horrible. But if you're going to go out and live carefree,
I am not the fittest.
I was saying, if you're going to go out and live carefree and everything else, that's a whole nother topic. Aside from that, it's pretty. I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. I worked, and then I came home and I ate, and I realized that the tiramisu that I made that I was having doubts about all night long and all day long while I was working turned out to be pretty fucking awesome. So yeah. So like you, the daughters, the daddy, all went out to Cracker Barrel?
Yes, and we we kept away from the cretinous people. No offense, cretinous people. Of course, I'm not talking about anybody that listens to the show, because everybody that listens to this show is pretty rad.
Mostly.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, we nobody wanted to cook and nobody wanted to visit people. So we just grabbed a bite and made the best of our Thanksgiving.
Well, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's you spend it with family and everything else. So I spent it with the surrogate family, aka Danielle's family. Minus Danielle, but
that's kind of weird, don't you think?
I passed the hell out. Not for me. I'm good. My comfort level, man. It's through the roof. But no, she was at her mom's house. Her mom was cooking. Danielle, I think she made some stuff, but I pretty much I ate and then I just passed out early because I had to go back to work today, and I've got to go back to work tomorrow. So it is a bunch of sleeping when I can, basically.
Well, I feel for you, buddy. I don't go back to work till Monday. And even then, a lot of stuff, blah, 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 blah. But right now, it's Friday night, 10 p.m. Time for the WADcast. Tonight, we have a really awesome show for you, because we are going to fill out your holiday watch list for movies that you should be watching during this period. Start off with some Thanksgiving movies to kind of wind down from the holiday that just passed, and then amp you up for the next round of the holiday season. With some Christmas movies and maybe a Hanukkah or movie or two thrown in there.
I think I know exactly what Hanukkah movie you decided to go with.
I'm sure you do. It's really. I looked up Hanukkah movies. I'm like, Hanukkah movies, and like literally 8 things popped up, and that's it. So I was like, I've heard of 2 of these, and that's where we are with that. So without further ado, Brandon, why don't you kick us off with a little bit of Thanksgiving movie talk, and let's give thanks for some of these titles that can help us get through the holidays.
Well, I mean, there's. I was just telling you about this earlier. But there's a movie from the 90s. It's a very obscure title called A War at Home, or The War at Home. I forget which one. But it's Emilio Estevez, Martin Sheen, And you know what? We had talked before about actors whose faces we don't know. Like we know the faces, but we don't really know the names of the actors. But then there's a few of those people tossed in the mix. But it's a really good movie. It's about a guy that came back from Vietnam, and just he's all kinds of just screwed up mentally from the war, and it's him coping with being a civilian again, while also being stuck and having these really horrible flashbacks and nightmares of his time at Vietnam, and it all occurs over like a Thanksgiving weekend. But there's that one. I actually really do. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that movie because it was. I remember being blown away by it when I was a kid watching it. But there's other movies. There is a movie called Thanksgiving about a mutant turkey that pretty much goes around and kills people. And the turkey is also it's a foul mouthed little fowl. Get it? So bad. But he's a turkey that swears about as much as I do, and he has
Okay.
all these cheesy '80s style quips every time he kills somebody. But you know, it's a good movie. It's actually a pretty damn funny movie. I think it's one of those movies that's supposed to be a horror film, but it doesn't take itself seriously. But
That's my favorite type of
that's
horror film, by the way.
well, yeah. I mean, that's really what else could you really ask for? So I mean, that was one that I got a kick out of. It's one of those. It's so bad you have to know what you're watching, and just be prepared to you know not really have it. It's like eating. Oh God, best way to put it. It's like eating fruit stripe gum. At first, like, oh, this is really delicious, and then it just starts sucking. But you don't have regrets because that first initial taste was so damn sweet that you continue eating the pack of fruit stripe gum. That's Thanksgiving. It's fruit stripe gum in a hour and a half senseless plot of a mutant turkey killing people. But that's really all I have for the Thanksgiving aspects of things for movies because there are holidays that they don't really have a whole lot of movies centered around them. Funny People, I guess, would be another one just because first off, I love Judd Apatow. I love his writing, love his directing. I love the genre that he does with the whole dramatic comedies. And it's not really a Thanksgiving movie, but it does have a Thanksgiving feast, so I'm just kind of throwing it onto the list.
That's
But what
fair.
about you? What you got?
Well, first of all, I want to say hey to Adam for saying hello in the chat. By the way, if you're in the chat or if you're listening, watching on Facebook, say hello. We'll give you a little shout there. Anyway, I thought for sure that you would go straight to the, in my mind, only seminal Thanksgiving classic film that I can think of, and that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh yeah,
Written and directed by John Hughes, starring Steve Martin and John Candy, doing what they
and
do
remade into
best.
due date.
It is mandatory viewing every Thanksgiving, and if you haven't watched it yet, by all means, you got to get it done before the month is out. Otherwise, it doesn't count. And then what do? Well, you just make your life a little more 2020. That's all, and it gets a little bit more worse. Sorry, but those are the rules. I didn't make
Actually,
them.
can I add one more Thanksgiving movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, MacGruber.
Okay, okay.
Because the whole movie, he's talking about going for the turkey, and you know, turkey's central to Thanksgiving. And Adam, wait, did you watch MacGruber for the first time? Well, then you're living your best life there, buddy. That movie's amazing. But no, like the whole movie's talking about going for the turkey, and the turkey is nothing more than him ripping out people's throats. And it's he finally does it in the movie. Um, Home for the Holidays. Not MacGruber. So, but But yeah, so it's turkey is the traditional feast. Oh, and hey, Sean, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the WADcast. Uh, you know, speech. Yeah, speech podcast. Either way, so yeah, it's like that was my Thanksgiving thing. So continue.
All
Plane,
right,
trains, and automobiles.
we seem to have gotten November covered, giving you a few titles to get you through the end of the month. Now it's time to go into December, and you know what that means. You know what holidays are there: Christmas, Hanukkah, and there's a bunch of other ones. But even Hanukkah's severely underrepresented when it comes to films. So it's going to be, admittedly, mostly Christmas centric. But
Yeah, I mean,
um,
let's face it, Hanukkah is not a real holiday anyway. So joking, 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 just a joke. Kidding. Go ahead.
I'm just waiting for everything to shut down. Okay, we survived so far. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The first movie, the December 1st movie, so to speak, I'm gonna throw out there is one that rests nestled so lovingly in between two holidays. The first one not being
Oh, what's up?
Thanksgiving, but Halloween and Christmas. That's right. The Nightmare Before Christmas. There's always the debate, is it a Halloween movie? Is it a Christmas movie? Well, we always watch it around Christmas time at my house, but I do like the idea of watching it early on because it's like right in between.
It's a Halloween movie. It's a Christmas movie. It is an Easter movie because the Easter Bunny is in it. So, yeah.
I can't wait till we talk about Easter movies next year, and we can talk about Mallrats.
Oh, no, no. I'm looking forward to talking about Easter Bunny Kill Kill during Easter. So, you know,
And apparently, Mallrats 2 was recently confirmed.
are they going to go the way of like Bill and Ted's Face the Music? Where
Oh,
now,
I don't read articles; I just read the headlines.
like now you're going to have the guys like they have kids that are hanging around malls, and I mean, let's face it, like kids these days, none of those conversations would have taken place inside of a mall. They're not going to go to a mall to sit down and walk around and have these conversations. They're going to bitch about this over Facebook. Mall rats too. Social media takes over. I mean, it's you know.
Yeah, yeah. Although I will say that even though the mall is not the bastion of you know what,
Oh,
I'm not even gonna try to
oh
fluff this up. It's not the oasis for teens as it once was, but teens still
no.
find a way to hang out at the mall.
Yeah, and like well, the mall is more of like a meetup spot now. Um, and Adam just said they started filming Mallrats 2. That's awesome. Well, they need to jump on their shit and start filming Clerks 3. Wrap up the Clerks series.
Wrap it up.
Come full circle. Yeah, like let's make another one where now they have employees working for them at the quick stop. But well, there was a movie I was watching that I thought was hysterical. And now, like, okay, so when we talk about movies, I know we speak about independent films. We speak about the mainstream media films, the
Hmm.
big Hollywood blockbuster, like cash grabs and stuff like that, like Daddy's Home 2 or Bad Mom's Christmas or Office Christmas Party, Bad Santa. Big box, big, like just holiday cash grabs that they try to make. Um,
Yeah.
but there was actually, can we talk about like adult films? Because there was one I was watching that was actually absolutely hysterical.
Um, the explicit tags on. Go for it, man.
Okay. It was called I saw mommy sucking Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most hysterical thing I've ever seen because there's a scene where while God, we're probably gonna lose some followers over this statement, but I'm ready for it. There is a scene where little Timmy, played by like a 30-year-old guy, is peeping downstairs and he sees his mom packing presents under the Christmas tree, and Santa shows up and says, "That's not how you pack things." And then it's just the dialogue. It's like Cinemax late at night movie dialogue. Definitely someone that wasn't gunning for an Oscar award worthy screenplay, but it was absolutely hysterical. It gets to the point where the mom is, her mouth is being packed by Santa Claus, and he lets out this really joyful ho ho ho. And then he looks at the guy staring at them and he says, "Your mom is a ho ho ho." I could not stop laughing. I mean, I was in tears and hyperventilating because of I was crying, man. It was just the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. And I'm thinking, we need this in an Oscar-winning film. Like, this would be the perfect wrap-up for the Santa Claus films.
Mm-hmm.
I do not recommend this film, but if you're bored, drunk, or stoned, watch it. It is absolutely hysterical.
Oh, sweet
okay,
baby
that's
Jesus.
my recommendation. My recommendation of the week.
And what was it called again?
I Saw Mommy Sucking Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. We go from The Nightmare Before Christmas, a fun family romp, to that.
Well, I mean, it was family oriented, if you want to get technical, because the son and the mom were both in the movie, and
Okay, I'm going to say right now, don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to TeePublic in the Semicore Studio store and see a shirt that says, technically, it was family orientated.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I need that shirt.
Oh, you might have it soon. So I'm going to give you the name of a title, which I know you are going to be on board with, and will hopefully steer us back into a safer territory.
Let me just build on that real quick. One joke about this, so that way we can not talk about adult films anymore. But it should say Pornhub. Technically, it's family oriented because of all the step sibling stuff that Pornhub has. Everything's like step sister, step mom, or whatever else. And I'm not going to get into specifics as to how I know this, but it's a very well known, documented fact. And either way, so that's it. Should say something. Okay, let's move on.
Moving on. Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's a classic, man. You cannot have a Christmas party or a Christmas holiday binge and not watch Ernest Saves Christmas.
It is, especially for guys of our age, quintessential Christmas viewing. I think we're the generation that started, the essential Christmas movies, to include things like Ernest Saves Christmas or other comedies instead of just straight up, It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street, which, by the way, I mean, doesn't Miracle on 34th Street technically start at Thanksgiving? We could have thrown that in there.
Yeah, but Miracle on 34th Street. See, I have qualms with that movie. I think it's just okay. The original was okay for what it was. I think it's an overrated classic. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's a great storyline. But it's just it was made in a time where you can make a movie like that and it would become a classic movie because of the content. It's a Wonderful Life. I'm sorry that little girl at the end of the movie, where she recites every time a bell rings an angel gets its wings. Every time I hear that girl's voice, it sounds like something I'd hear at the beginning of like a Rob Zombie song.
I'm pretty sure It's a Wonderful Life.
That's what I said.
They said Miracle on 34th Street.
Well, I'm talking about both of them. Just saying, like they're both like just these movies are just overrated. Now, see, then America on 34th Street rather did this new thing where they rebooted the movie. They remade it with the little girl from
A few times.
Matilda. Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same every single damn time. It's like watching the remake of Psycho.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody out there giving their hot take or their brilliant new direction for Miracle on 34th Street. It's gonna be pretty much the same thing every time.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'll give you that one.
But I think, in a way, you might be right about that when it comes to the story of Miracle on 34th Street. I mean, the first time it was done, it was done for at the time it was great. And then it was shot just basically, okay, we're gonna update the way it looks, make it for the current whatever.
Yeah.
And in a situation like that, it almost seems like they're trying to force it to be that movie. This is going to sound weird at first, but follow me on this. That okay. Romeo and Juliet, or that Scarface, or something along those lines, where it's like every generation needs their own version of this. When I don't think that's the case for Miracle on 34th Street.
No.
I don't think every generation needs one. But
yeah, see, and I've got a problem with that too. Like, I don't think every generation needs a new reiteration of a classic film. Like Gremlins. They're working on Gremlins 3 right now. Gremlins is one of my all-time favorite Christmas films.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a new generation right now. Like, our generation has come and gone. So now we're in the new generation with the millennials and shit like that. So we don't need to go back and remake. Huh?
We are millennials.
No, I'm sorry, Gen Z, sorry. But the thing is that we don't need a remake of Gremlins. We don't need a remake, although we got one, of Ghostbusters. We don't need those movies. We just need the classics to be cherished. And if the studio really wants to try to draw attention, just re-release the damn films. Hype them
do
up,
a little
put out
bit
new trailers
of
and everything else.
Fix the resolution a little bit, upgrade the frame rate or whatever. There's that gaming. Just make it look nicer. You don't need to change it in any other way. Just have it fit my screen better. They've been doing it for always. There's a new medium. Hey, don't you want to get Harvey on Blu-ray? And the answer is always yes. But, do something to it.
Well, it's like when movies are re-released, they actually do really well during their re-release. Like the classics, like Jaws, Scarface, like Godfather. These movies, when they're re-released, they actually do really well. Even the classics, Gone with the Wind, still gets a high turnout when it's re-released into theaters when we're not in the middle of an apocalypse.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future got an amazing turnout. I went to go see the re-release of Back to the Future. And the theater was packed. Same thing with Ghostbusters. You had people that were lined up, and the line was wrapped around the ropes for people to go see a movie from 1984. So we don't need... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think if anything, this proves that people are not tired of the theater going experience, especially when there's people like me out there. I was a very early on adopter to seeing old movies in big theaters, because when they re-released Star Wars, I was all over that, because I was either not born or way too young to appreciate Star Wars in theaters. It wasn't going to happen. So up until that re-release, it wasn't in the cards that I would ever be able to see it. And then,
Yeah.
what do you know? It gets re-released. Back to the Future. One of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, I know.
Hold all judgment. This is just about my fandom here. 1985, I was 3 years old. Like, I would, remember going to see a movie when I'm 3 years old, let alone fully appreciate it. But they re-released it. You got a nice, cool poster for showing up. And it was pretty sweet, getting that experience. And I think the only problem right now, because of the pandemic and the lack of new content, or at least good content, to be released in theaters, we might be oversaturated with a lot of these re-releases. Things where they just said, hey, can we get this on the screen? Not, can we make it worth seeing again?
Yeah. And and that's the thing though. It's like, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of movies. I think, there are fresh movies that are coming out that they're bringing light to the more obscure holidays that people don't really pay attention to, or if not, I don't want to say obscure, but holidays where there's this movie that came out last year called Mistletoe and Menorahs, rather. And it kind of touched on the whole Christmas and Hanukkah and stuff like that, but pretty much it's about this girl who has to learn about Hanukkah, like in a hurry to try to land like a big account, and she teams up with a friend of, like, pretty much like a friend of a coworker kind of deal, who just needs help to turn his apartment into like a Christmas kind of thing to impress his girlfriend's dad. So it was like one of these deals where it touched on both holidays, and the holidays are discussed in the movies. It actually talks about the history of them and things like that. So it covers a lot of ground, and it's a dumb, stupid rom-com. I can't stand those kinds of movies, but I like what it did. Krampus was a fresh, like, holiday horror kind of film, something you didn't really see really much of at all. And there was no one safe. Even the kids were not safe in that movie, obviously, if you saw it. Oh, excuse me. But to reinvent the wheel and hope that it rolls better than the previous one, or rolls even just as good. Look at Ghostbusters 2016. They tried to reinvent the wheel. They didn't get a wheel. They got the really beat-ass wheel off of a Target shopping cart. The one that's always like, it's got like divots and everything else, and you push it, you're like, right. Fuck, I grabbed the wrong cart.
Yeah.
The reason why that Ghostbusters movie was only $5 about like a month and a half after its release. So.
Which reminds me, I still need to get you your birthday present from 2015.
Well, if it's 2015, then it is not Ghostbusters Answer the Call on DVD, so I'll graciously take it. You have my address, shoot it over.
When did that movie come out?
2016.
Okay, then it's from 2016.
Then you can dump that movie and throw it in the trash.
It's not the movie, man.
If it is,
but there was a marketing push during the time for Ghostbusters again. And I happened to pick up something Ghostbuster related, and been holding on to it for 4 years now.
No, well, it's about time that you just send the damn thing to me. So, but either way, coming off of those and coming off of remakes and yada yada yada, we were talking about Miracle on 34th Street. The original, I actually do have an affinity for that movie. Because it's back in the day where you could actually make a movie and it would be original, because there just weren't that many out at that time that were, well, there were none that were out that were remakes. So,
Well, a few.
back in the 1930s.
Yeah, what they were remade of was interesting to say the least. Taking, you know what? That's a topic for another day. The history of Hollywood remakes and remakes goes all the way back to the beginning. It's an interesting story we should probably check out sometime. But I have a movie here that is, I'd say, pretty original.
Yeah. And one second, I will say this to acknowledge Adam in the chat, because we're not really. We go on these rants. We don't acknowledge anyone trying to chime in. Hey, come hang out so we can ignore you. Adam says he's Generation X, so he's like right before us here. I'm going to guess he's just a few years older than us. And then he was talking about how it was a great experience for him to see the re-release of Star Wars, which it really actually was an amazing experience in the 90s when they re-released them to theaters. Some of the special effects, not so much, but the re-release of the movies were, if you saw the original without all the stupid CGI that just did not fit in, it's a mind-blowing experience. Oh no, it's hysterical.
It wasn't even good at the time.
No, it wasn't. When you have Jabba the Hutt, and he looks like a damn cartoon character, or you have Han Solo, who, just to make him more sympathetic in the whole who shot first, him or Greedo, and to make it look like he ducked, they just jolted him over a half frame to where he doesn't duck, he teleports. Like a half inch to his right, just to make it look like he was ducking. Like it's absolutely hysterical. Just but the original re-release was just phenomenal. But go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay, an original Christmas movie. I know, crazy, right? And it is one that has stuck with me to this day, even though not a lot of people have heard of it. Or at least acknowledge they've heard of it. Santa Claus, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
1985, directed by Jano Schwartz. I don't know how to say that name. Written by David Newman, starring, though, Dudley Moore and John Lithgow and David Huddleston as Santa Claus.
Yep.
It is one of my favorite Christmas movies. Why? Because it used to come on TV all the time when I was a kid. And I gotta be honest, and being a young tyke, it was also one of my very first movie crushes.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen it, by all means, and if you're not familiar with Dudley Moore, you'll really, I don't know if you'll enjoy it more or not. If you do know Dudley Moore, you'll be like, oh, he's sober? So there's that. Long story short, Elf flees the North Pole, to strike it on his own. Hooks up with evil toy magnate John Lithgow, and they come out with a product that could be dangerous to children, and Santa Claus has to save the day. But the really interesting part about this, it goes really a little bit into the lore of Santa Claus. There's actually an origin story to this at the beginning of the movie, and the reindeer depictions are also one of my favorite. I'd say probably right up there with the Santa Claus, with Tim Allen as far as reindeer depictions.
Okay. Adam, boo.
What are we booing?
I don't know. Adam, you gotta follow that up, buddy. If you're booing Santa Claus, or if you're booing the CGI in Star Wars, I know that we have a little bit of a delay in what you hear versus what we're saying. So, but you know what? Going off for the whole Santa Claus thing from the 80s, there was a movie that not many people think of during Christmas. But it's from 1989, One of my
Okay.
favorite films as a kid growing up for Christmas time, back when I actually was excited about Christmas. Prancer.
I'm laughing
You know,
twofold. One, for your movie, and two, because specifically Adam was booing that crappy movie.
Santa Claus.
I didn't say it was great. I just said it was one of my favorites.
But
John Lithgow
but like,
overacts like a mug. Anyway,
oh no, no, he
Prancer.
absolutely does. No, he really does. John Lithgow. But you know what? Sam Elliott's immortal ass in that movie. Um, like he was what made the movie. But it was a pretty sweet movie. It got kind of like emotional in certain scenes, and I kind of like I really kind of appreciated what it did. So I mean, you have like the dad that's dealing with being like a widower rather, um, and this little girl that's raised by her dad and her older brother, basically. Like I mean, it's just like, and they're struggling. It's really like actually kind of a sweet film. But I try to watch it again as an adult. I'm like, yeah, I think this is definitely made more for kids. I mean, it's not like it was really successful because, you know, I think. Well, I guess that time it was a little different because it made like I think around like 19 or $20 million at the box office. But it's one of those movies where I don't know. It's I think the reveal at the end that Prancer, who everyone thinks is just a regular reindeer, uh, when Prancer is set free and they go chasing after him, the hoofs just disappear off the edge of a cliff. And when I saw this as a kid, I'm like, oh, my warped mind as a child. I'm like, oh my God, no, Prancer Ka, he committed suicide. Like, he's had enough. So, and then this like jingling sound comes up, like, oh, well, that's a good ending too. Oh, my mom is in the chat. Hey, mom. So Lisa A. Gonzalez, the 1946 movie "It's a Wonderful Life" has been my vote for best Christmas movie. I disagree. Jimmy Stewart, Lionel Barrymore, Donna Reed, a true classic in my humble opinion. It is a classic, Mom. It is a classic in nightmare fuel. That little girl at the end of the movie. I'm sorry, she's evil, and that every time it is such the way she says it too. She's just showboating to kiss her dad's ass. Like she's just trying to be daddy's favorite little girl to get the best presents possible. Hi, mom. And it's so she quotes him, and to me it came off more like mocking.
Well, she's not quoting him. Remember, she says, Daddy, teacher says, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Okay, then whatever. I don't care. She's evil because she's creepy the way she says it.
Not to cut you off, but at which point I would have to respond with, if I were Jimmy Stewart, oh, honey, why is your teacher talking about angels in school? That's just not what we do.
And and Adam, I'm going to rub this in Josh's face real quick. Adam he is on Team Brandon so far. Okay, right now this is WADcast Civil War. You're
I was
Captain
not aware
America,
of this.
I'm Iron Man, and right now Adam is all pro Prancer. Like Prancer's terrific. Such part. Thank you, Adam. It really is.
I've never seen it.
Like I said, it's Joshua Chitty. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, man. How could you not have seen Prancer? It's been around for 31 damn years.
Oh.
And it's got Sam Elliott. Christ, man, even me as a straight guy, like his voice turns me the hell on at times.
Then you'll like the latest episode of Family Guy.
Oh God. Oh, my Lord. Is he in it?
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, isn't he like the new mayor or something?
The whole episode's essentially them trying to find a new mayor, and because Peter doesn't want the librarian to be mayor, essentially he's like, we should get another Batman to be mayor, and everyone's like, no, we pick the librarian, and he's like, well, if we can't get another Batman, we'll get Adam West's brother, Wild West, and that's Sam Elliott.
It's so stupid. Oh my god.
And it's basically
okay, so what else
everybody he interacts with just melts over his voice.
Well, I feel like he's got that voice that, like, I mean, you know what? I'm not curious as to what it would be like to have sex with Sam Elliott, but I'm curious what women deal with when they have sex with. And it's not just him; it's people with like those popular voices, like Samuel L. Jackson, Morgan Freeman, Ben Stein, Sam Elliott. I mean, hell, William Shatner. Like, I'm curious as to what women deal with when they're sleeping with these men, like what they listen to.
What about
like?
Patrick
I mean, it's
Stewart?
Like, but it's just like, just imagine for a second. I mean, could you imagine Morgan Freeman talking dirty to you? He would just be narrating the sex. I mean. Or Samuel L. Jackson. Like, I mean, it just gives him a reason to say the F word like a lot. Like, I mean, or maybe like, with his kids, if he's hooking up with with his wife and like the mother of his kids, like, I am a motherfucker. Guess you get it. He's
yeah,
doing the dirty with the kids' moms, and she's a mother.
Yeah,
and
we get it, Brandon. We get it.
Okay. As long as we got it. But it's like, and then Sam Elliott with that monotone kind of growly voice. I'm just thinking these women would just hear him speak, and like it would just be an orgasm right there for them. Like it's like like, okay, Mom, you're in the chat. Like, I mean, let me ask you real quick, Sam Elliott. Wow, this WADcast has taken a strange turn. Yes, Mom, it has. Now answer my question.
If we do a best of show, this is definitely going in there.
So, Mom, a quick question. Sam Elliott's voice, and what does it do for you?
It'll be about 20 seconds before we get a response.
I know, and I'm going to let her respond to this. But I'm curious, like, what Sam Elliott does for my mom. And this is such a weird relationship I have with her because of how open I am with my mom in ways that people are just horrified over. Like, I mean...
Yes, you asked your mother on a live stream just what exactly does Sam Elliott's voice does to her in the nether regions. That's
like, well,
that's weird.
I'm curious who women would rather have narrate their sex. Like, is it Sam Elliott with his voice? Would it be Samuel L. Jackson? Would it be, I don't know, like Morgan Freeman? Jack Nicholson. Like, I mean, yeah, all them. Jim Brewer, the guy that played the like heavy stoner from Half Baked. Like, I mean, just really, like, I'm curious. Like, I mean, just that would be TMI. Keith. Oh, get back to Christmas movies. Okay.
I knew this would never be a family-friendly episode.
Are they ever?
No, but I thought there might have been a slim chance, talking about... Anyway.
Clearly, Mom walked in to the podcast long after I discussed the independent Christmas film I found online. So...
yeah, that must be the case. So I'm gonna go back to Christmas movies and hold on here. I need to find a lighter so I can light.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to Christmas. I'm going to get back to Christmas movies too, but it's not because my mom told me to. It's because I want to.
Fair. Die Hard. I said it.
Okay. Well, that's just common knowledge.
Yeah, but there are some people out there that don't believe Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Well, it is. It
Of
is a
course it
Christmas
is.
movie because it takes place over the course of a Christmas party. Now, it may not have been Christmas Day, but it did take place during a Christmas party for a company. In which case, Bruce Willis, in his color-changing tank top, kicked the hell out of a bunch of bad guys and dropped one of them off the side of a building. So, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Oh, and Adam actually chimed in with what I was going to say in response to yours. Adam chimed in with Lethal Weapon. So, which, yes, it is. And that's a great thing about these holiday movies. Like, you have holiday movies of all genres. And there's so many to appease whatever you're like. With me, is horror. I love horror films. So it's just like, Krampus, Scrooged. Not really a horror film, but it's still like that is something I will say is a fantastic re-envisionment of a classic story.
You know what? I was going to just make this its own part of the show, but since you already brought it up, we can open up this can of worms. Is Scrooged the best version of Dickens' classic?
No. Nope.
So what do you think is?
I love Scrooge.
50
Don't get me wrong.
million of them.
There's been plenty of them. There was that recent CGI one a few years back with Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
But Scrooge, to me, comes in second, right behind A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay. The Muppets get a lot of love on this show, man, and well deserved.
Well, it's very well deserved. Jim Henson created an amazing beast of entertainment for just like learning material. But the Muppets Christmas Carol, it is absolutely, even at the age of 38 years old, I can watch this and laugh hysterically. And Danielle, I know, will agree with me too as far as that goes, because she's a huge fan of the Muppets. She loves the Muppets. So, like the Muppets instantly. Adam, the Muppet Christmas Carol is fight me. You can tell we have that 20-second delay here, but
and usually that delay is used to make sure there's no swearing. Not the case here.
Yeah, no, this is already such a profanity laced and adult humor themed episode. But no, it's like the Muppets Christmas Carol is the best iteration in my mind, because not only was it not boring, because let's face it, some of the other ones are pretty damn boring. The tale itself is not the most exciting tale, but what they did for it. And that's what I'm saying, like with Scrooge being my second favorite version of it, it made a very boring story not so boring. So the Muppets Christmas Carol gets it for me. What about you?
I think it's in the exact order you said. The Muppets did it best. I think Scrooge did it the most originally. I think the first talkie version of it, I don't remember what year it was made. The black and white one, and way back when, that always winds up on standard TV.
Yep.
For the time it was made, it was pretty amazing. But yeah, Muppets nailed it. And like you said, as far as Jim Henson and his creations go, the biggest reason why the Muppets were able to do it so well is because the cast of characters, the Muppets themselves, are so ingrained into our young psyches, and we know their characteristics. We know these characters, and it's almost like they're actual actors playing roles and not just felt.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's like, even again, as an adult, going back and rewatching it, Adam is asking, was that the Albert Funnel one, the Christmas Carol one that you were talking about? Albert Finney.
Possibly.
I'll have to look that up real quick.
Remember. I always wound up watching it on whatever the equivalent of like the CW was back in the day.
Oh, Scrooge from 1970, Albert Finney.
No, I think the one I'm thinking of was earlier than that.
Well, it's like actually, now I've got to say, like I like the version with Albert Finney because he did a great job playing Scrooge. But when it comes to, like the serious, absolute serious iteration of like A Christmas Carol, what Patrick Stewart did for the role of Scrooge in 1999, I've got to say it was brilliant. Like I loved his version of it. I absolutely adored what It's Patrick Stewart. The man is adorable. He is a That man has what I call old man swag. Like he just that man is just a badass. He is the most geriatric badass I've ever seen in my life. I would love to get an up close and personal conversation and firsthand view of his badassery at its very finest. Um, but like with me, horror is a big thing. I love horror films. So I will not discuss the remake, but the original Black Christmas that came out in like I think the 1970s or 19 I think it was the 70s. I love that movie. but but you have that, and there was another one, another movie that I like that's not a horror film, but it is actually pretty damn funny. It's Steve Martin. It's called Mixed Nuts. Have you ever seen it? It's from like
Yes.
1994 or five.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah. I mean, it was like Steve Martin, Rita Wilson, Madeline Kahn. Like I mean, it's actually a pretty damn good movie. But
Adam
I will
Sandler.
say this, and Adams. Oh yeah, young Adam Sandler. And I will say this though, my all-time favorite Christmas film, when it comes to like just like adult humor though, will always be The Ref
Oh yeah, that's very
with
interesting
Dennis
take on the
Leary.
holiday.
Just the poor guy being stuck in a house that he was trying to burglarize with a couple that hate each other, and him actually ending up playing the referee between them, hence the title The Ref. Like it was just absolutely, it still cracks me the hell up. It is probably like one of my all-time favorite Christmas films. But
Speaking of kidnapping at Christmas, my next movie has that, as well as a RV that had a full shitter. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
okay. Oh yeah, and the funny story about that is that the director could not work with Chevy Chase, so he stepped out, like he quit, like he wouldn't do it. He went on to make Home Alone. Like I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think what was it? I believe that John Hughes didn't John Hughes produce National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Did John Hughes produce Christmas
Oh,
Vacation?
I think he was involved on some level. Let me see real quick. He either produced it or he wrote it. But
He wrote Home Alone.
okay, so no, he produced. Okay, he produced National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Um, and so the guy that was originally going to direct Christmas Vacation, he went to them and said, "I cannot work with Chevy Chase. I can't do it." And then he ended up going on to direct Home Alone, which was written by John Hughes.
So
And
Chris Columbus was
yeah, Chris
directing.
Columbus. Yeah, he stepped out, and then Jeremiah Chechik, I think that was his name, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Jeremiah Chechik, who actually ended up directing Christmas Vacation. He's the one that stepped in and took over directing. John Hughes, I'm not John Hughes, I'm sorry, Chris Columbus and Chevy Chase did, like, he could not stand Chevy Chase at all. Couldn't do it. So it was just, I mean, I love the story behind that because without like what we got with A Christmas Vacation, we would not have gotten had Chris Columbus stayed in directing with it. But without Chris Columbus, we would not get what we got with Home Alone. And I kind of like the fact that they both they're considered classic Christmas films. And of course, John Hughes' name is attached to them, but still. Try to find out. Oh, here it is. Okay. Um, in 1990, Chris Columbus gave an interview saying that he was the original director of this movie. Although he filmed some second unit establishing shots, which are still in the finished film, he left after 2 meetings with Chevy Chase and told the writer and producer, John Hughes, "There's no way I can do this movie. I know I need to work, but I can't do it with this guy." He was sent the script to Home Alone in its place. And at the time, this guy was struggling. Like, he lived in his girlfriend's mom's house when he directed Home Alone. When he walked away from A Christmas Vacation. He was damn near broke, and he went on to do Home Alone. And since then, his career is just like, I mean, he's done some pretty impressive shit.
Yeah, but launched Harry Potter as a film series.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's done more as he's done a lot more as I believe he's done more as a producer than a director. Let me see real quick. All right.
As far as Chris Columbus goes, I think his directing credits outweigh his producing credits.
Does it?
Yeah, he started
right.
producing in '95.
No. He's got 22 director credits and he's got like 40 some odd producer credits.
Is that including television?
Yes. Well, according to his IMDb, and IMDb is not always kept up, so it's a hard call to really have. But it's just like, I respect the hell out of the fact that he walked away from a sure thing because it wasn't right for him. And
he went from one Christmas classic to another.
To two, because he did Home Alone and he also directed Home Alone 2. But then, his directing abilities, he went on to, I think he directed the very first Harry Potter film.
First two.
He directed, 9 Months, which was an amazing film. I love 9 Months. He directed that, Mrs. Doubtfire. Because at the time with Home Alone, he only directed Adventures in Babysitting, and he directed Heartbreak Hotel, which was a flop. So,
and Adventures in Babysitting is a classic.
Yes. But I mean, either way, coming off that stuff, it's just like he's done a lot of stuff since then. But I love the history behind Christmas Vacation. But I'll let you get back to what you were saying. It was random trivia there.
Okay. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is, like I said, it's a Christmas classic in this household. Why? Because at any time you see a family get together and just fall apart for the holidays is absolutely hilarious. And whether or not Chevy Chase is a royal dick is not really what we're debating here, because I've heard stories.
It's a known fact, but either way.
I didn't want to say it like that, but I did want to say it like that. Whether or not he is, he is behind the scenes, in front of the camera, he always gives a hilarious performance. In fact, it was really heartbreaking, watching Community and seeing that he had to leave the show at some point because of a lot of these same issues popping up with the showrunners. But the point is, in front of the camera, you can't really go wrong watching Chevy Chase, especially when he's playing Clark Griswold. There is not a... Oh, I'm going to get my head ripped off for this. There's not a bad vacation movie that's led by Chevy Chase.
Mm.
The first one was classic European Vacation. Not as good as the original, but still good. Then Christmas Vacation becomes a holiday favorite. And Vegas Vacation, maybe not on the same level as the original, but I'd still say the second or third best out of the non,
I would look at Vegas Vacation as being probably like the weakest one out of all of them. Because even honestly, and I'm going to get my head ripped off for this one, it is not Chevy Chase led, but the more recent Vacation movie with like Rusty as an adult now taking his kids to Wally World and all that crap.
Ed Helms?
Yeah, Ed Helms. And Christine Applegate. I thought that movie was absolutely hysterical.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
And it also had some of the things that made the first Vacation movie pretty special, and even the soundtrack. And it was a little bit more fucked up because the woman who wrecks her car. Because you remember, like in the original one, where Chevy Chase is like kind of like flirting back with a girl driving next to him, and this one Ed Helms is doing it, but she gets hit head on by a truck. So it's messed up, but like you said, not Chevy Chase led. But it's just it is a direct sequel to all the other Vacation movies, like how they were a franchise. No. Yeah, I guess they would actually be considered a franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Vegas Vacation, I think it just was missing everything that made the other one so special. It had its funny moments. It had a pretty batshit crazy Randy Quaid, but
was there ever pre?
Well, I mean, it kind of got to his limit when he started talking about mind control and chips in his brain and
pre-Twitter Randy Quaid.
Yeah, pre-Parler Randy Quaid. But no, it's like, and there's other movies like Christmas Vacation. My favorite scene was when and it's one of the most famous scenes in any Christmas comedy is when he gets his bonus check, and it's just a blatant slap in the face. But there is a movie that I watched that I'm going to talk about a movie that is mediocre at best, but at the same time, I still thought was funny as hell. A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas. I said it.
That's a thing?
Wow. You never saw that?
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's hysterical. Because, Neil Patrick Harris, he had not come out of the closet and could discuss how he, was a member of the gay community when the first movie came out. And he played like this man whore kind of character, right? Like just a very super horned up, washed up celebrity with drug problems.
Classic Doogie.
Classic Doogie. But in A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, it starts off with him singing like this doing this Christmas special, his choreographed dance and everything else, and at this point it's caught up, it's Neil Patrick Harris. His personal life is discussed, like him being a gay man and married to a man, and you find out, like in the movie, he plays it off like he only agreed to be gay to save his career. And he's got like one of the dancers from the opening scene. He's offering to give her a massage, and he's being very flamboyant and with his gestures, and So she lays down, and he's like, "Oh, let me go ahead and get some special lotion on your back." She lays down. She he unhooks her bra, and he just starts wanking it. He's like, "I've got the cream. Where's it at?" It's like the lotion is coming in 30 seconds. I can't believe you've never seen that movie.
No, I
You
had
see, like
no idea it existed.
Harold and Kumar, who in the first movie are like in their 20s, like I think they're earlier mid 20s, and now they're like pushing, they're pushing 40. They've got to go get this perfect Christmas tree. Harold has to impress his fiance's father, played by Danny Trejo, who is super into Christmas in this movie. Has to have the perfect tree, and Harold, who is, you know, the estranged friend of Kumar. Kumar comes over and just lights the tree on fire by accident. And so now the whole movie is about them trying to find the perfect tree while avoiding her and her family, so they don't get caught. Oh, dude, you have to watch this movie. It's absolutely
Well,
like
yeah,
I said,
I definitely
like I
have
said,
to.
it is it's simply mediocre, but it's funny as hell. I mean, it's weed humor. So I mean, like, well, I don't know if people are expecting like a Citizen Kane kind of thing with this movie, but it's just drinking vulgar humor, which is my kind of shit. But I think it's hysterical. It's definitely not going to win any kind of Academy Awards or Emmy Awards or anything really, or maybe a Grammy for Neil Patrick Harris singing in his dance number, but that's about it.
Okay, Brandon, why don't you go ahead and check in with the chat, and I'm going to figure out how to segue that into my next movie.
Okay. Well, you go ahead. You segue that into your next movie.
You don't have the chat loaded up, do you?
I have it. It is over here. Okay, Adam gave us a nice little naughty boys list. Have you all seen Trapped in Paradise? It's a great film for Christmas. Nick Cage, John Lovitz, and Dana Carvey and the small time crooks in a small town on Christmas. Great 90s ensemble film no one ever saw. I actually have seen that. And he's right. It actually is a very good movie. And it is criminally underrated. Um, it's one of those movies that it's like the movie A War at Home that I was talking about earlier. It's a movie with amazing performances that you would never even expect to really see. Um, Considering the cast, excuse me. Not to say that John Lovitz, Dana Carvey, and Nick Cage are not talented in their own rights. They actually are. Nick Cage is an amazing actor when he actually wants to act, when he's not hungry for a paycheck. But it actually
No,
is.
hold on. I can't let you just walk over that one. Nicolas Cage is not ever hungry for a paycheck. Nicolas Cage is eager to work because if he doesn't pay back the IRS, he'll probably go to prison.
Yeah, we call that hungry for a paycheck.
I don't like the language.
Listen, we all do stuff that we're not proud of for money, okay? So, listen. I've had my low moments.
So now I know who wrote that Mommy Santa Claus movie you were talking about.
You mean who starred in it? Okay. Now, the
Oh,
thing is, but no, it's basically like, what Adam was saying is it's pretty much just like a bunch of small time crooks. But, Dana Carvey, he just gets out of prison. Um, and it's like, and they're not even just crooks, but they're brothers in the movie. And they they try to rob a bank, in this film. Mind you, Adam, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. Before what I remember, they try to rob a bank. It doesn't go the way it's supposed to go down. And Dana Carvey, he ends up getting lost uh, with a getaway car. Um, so they all end up in like what was it? Paradise, Pennsylvania, I believe. And it's like they get the cash in the bank, but pretty much they get like locked up. Not locked up. They get like stuck in this town.
You could almost say they were trapped.
Yeah, like pretty much like you have the cops that are like really like, okay, we're watching you. Like, there's something going on here, and you got the townspeople that was like, oh, it's just super nice and super sweet to them. And it's kind of like the movie actually has a lot of heart in it. It really does. Just because you kind of see them realizing that they can be better than what they are. Um, but it is one of those movies. Let me look it up real quick. It's type this into Google. Oh wow, it only has 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to assume that's because it's such an obscure title. 6 out of 10 on IMDb, which let's be honest, is not that bad. It's not great,
No, it's
but it's
fitting.
not bad.
It's fitting.
But the movie itself is actually very good. It's a I think it should be required viewing for Christmas.
Which is exactly what we're doing tonight, telling you, everybody, what you should be watching
Yeah, like
during this holiday
and it's
season.
not even just us; it's also one of our listeners. Thank you, Adam, and also my mom with "It's a Wonderful Life." But no, no, it's like it really is a great movie, and if you've never seen it, watch it. It was just to me brilliantly written, brilliantly directed, and even to this day, like what 25, 26 years later, I don't know how it is not up there with the likes of. Well, I can't say the ref because the ref is also kind of obscure to a lot of people. So, have you seen the ref? Like, what's that? Like, versus if you say, Christmas Vacation or Home Alone, they instantly know what that is. But it's a good one. So, what you got, Josh?
Well, I am going to kind of play off the whole era. The 90s were very, very good at producing great, mediocre movies.
Yeah.
It was a continuation from all of the great, mediocre movies of the 80s. And it just seems like since we turned the corner and got into the 21st century, we've lost that ability to make great mediocre movies. Yeah, we've had crappy mediocre movies. We've had mediocre movies, but it's been a long time since we've had a wide array of great mediocre movies. And I'd say Trapped in Paradise is even a step above that with an excellent mediocre movie. But one thing the 90s was also known for, apparently, is creating classic holiday movies for our generation and maybe a generation before, generation after, and especially movies that I know that I play for my kids to this day. And of course, Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are going to be staples on any holiday viewing list. Why? Because they are instant classics. There's no disputing that the trials and tribulations of Kevin McAllister versus the wet/sticky bandits, ranging anywhere from his home to New York City, where essentially both of these movies are one and the same, just set in different locations and different creepy old people. But the second one, of course, has that epic appearance from Tim Curry as the concierge. I love you. Yeah. That's the great thing about Tim Curry. It doesn't matter what the role is, he's going to sell it out. And he did that in spades in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. So again, 90s holiday movies, completely epic. Another one that will probably also be remembered, unfortunately, as a less than stellar, mediocre movie, although in my opinion, it is a great mediocre movie. Jingle All the Way.
Oh, God.
Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sinbad.
I can't
Each
do it.
one of them needs to get a Turbo Man doll for
Can't do it.
Christmas. It is greatness, and it is required viewing in this household every year. Like I said, Arnold, Sinbad, Phil Hartman as a really creepy neighbor trying to sleep with Arnold's wife all the time by using his reputation as I'm the town's best dad kind of deal, and Sinbad being the psychotic mailman. It's a great story, and I love it. Judge me all you want, world, but I love Jingle All the Way, and it is one of my favorite Christmas movies.
You know, one movie, like I was talking about Nicolas Cage after Adam's recommendation here. There's a movie. It's right at the millennium. Family Man, The Family Man with Nicolas Cage, where he's like a businessman.
Yeah, it's like a different take on It's a Wonderful Life.
Basically, yeah. And he sees what his life would have been like if he had a family and kids, and his big New York City apartment is gone, and instead he's in a house full of like toys and kids, and working for his girlfriend's dad at like a auto place or something like that. And it's just like, at first he hates all of it. He buys he wants to buy a suit because he wants to feel important. And like she pulls things together, and she ends up buying him like just a really cheap suit. But you kind of just like see this whole movie with him changing, and it leads to like probably the most heartbreaking reveal when he goes back to being who he is after he fell in love with these kids that simply don't exist, and he remembers all of it. But the silver lining is that he tries to reconnect with the woman that that he walked away from. And Adam agrees with you with Jingle All the Way. You're both my mortal enemies. But the thing is that but no, the thing is like The Family Man, like I said, it's such a heartwarming and heartbreaking movie to me. Because you get all these things, like you realize that like what would have always made you happy is something that you do not have, and most likely will never have at that point. But it was just, it was sad, but it really is, to me, it's a beautiful movie. And I've got to say, Nicolas Cage with his acting, that's one of those movies where I think he did an amazing job in the film. But oh man, that's what I got.
It's definitely a really good movie. I will say that there have been times I've had dreams like that, where you basically dream that you have this like completely different life, and you grow attached to the things that your mind creates, and when you wake up you're like, but I'm not a billionaire. Oh
yeah. Yeah, I've had dreams where I was about to hook up with Emmy Rossum from Shameless, and then next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm staring at my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, it's you.
She slaps you like, I know what you're about to do.
I'm so happy Danielle doesn't listen to this. But either way, so.
And by the way, if for some reason she does, I'm just kidding. but it would be completely justified. So my next movie,
What's that?
going along the lines of the '90s kick, because like I said, known for some holiday flicks. I'm gonna go with a Santa Claus. Tim Allen,
Okay.
Hot off of his Home Improvement show, becomes the Toy Man. Because instead of Tim the Tool Man, he's like Tim the Toy. Anyway, it was one of those movies that I think really climbed to the important Christmas movies list, as far as mandatory viewing.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for the sequels, but just the idea that there's this regular guy, divorced guy, has his kid over, and suddenly he's the new Santa. That it really,
Yeah.
in the relationship with the elves, it was fun. It's just a fun movie about a guy that becomes Santa Claus, as well as trying to, maintain a healthy relationship with his kid. I'm not the one to judge that. That would be Judge Reinhold's position in the film, dating the ex-wife, becoming kind of the stepdad. Like I said, I don't think the sequels really held up. The second one does that thing, it did it. Well, not it, but the Santa Claus did it. Shrek did it. We introduced this character. So in the second movie, we have to have a love interest. We have to introduce, the marriage part, right? It all has to be marriage in the second one. We've seen quite a bit of that from '90s sequels.
Yep.
Although I do like in the Santa Claus 2 the fact that the relationship with this kid, even though the kid knows full well that his dad is Santa and always watching, he just becomes a little dick, and he
right?
makes trouble. He
makes
be
effort grateful, man,
to be on the naughty list, which he knows is real. So that I did like that aspect.
Well, I mean, that's because it was very lazily written, because it was a cash grab. The Santa Claus, and we've had this discussion before. There are movies to me that should never have sequels, like ever. And excuse me, that is one of them.
Wait, you're saying the Mrs. Claus wasn't a carefully thought out, planned sequel from the absolute very beginning?
Nope.
Well, then I have bad news about Santa Claus 3, because I think that was basically someone at lunch going, we should make a third one. What should it be about? I don't know. Jack Frost? Go with it.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where, excuse me, my God, I'm so sorry. One of those deals with me, like, where you have these movies that come out that are nothing but cheap cash grabs to keep a franchise going. And the one thing that would have saved the Santa Claus is if it had, like, if they had toy sales attached to it, like that would, give them like that. I don't really see how you'd make toys off it, but still, you could. Movies that are not successful make a toy line, and look at Super Mario Brothers; they had toys, but it's one of those movies where it was mediocre at best. It wasn't that great. Then there's a third one with Jack Frost that just sucked, and the robotic Santa Claus. It's just they were all so damn bad.
Love seeing Martin Short, but he can do better.
Well, no, Martin Short is a national treasure, but the thing is the movie is not.
It is.
It's like the Saw franchise. I personally believe that if you were going to carry that movie forward beyond Saw 1, which I believe that Saw 1 should have been the end of that movie, that franchise. At the very earliest, if you're going to have sequels, stop it after Saw 3. when John Kramer was killed. But, Santa Claus, the first movie, it ended everything perfectly. It answered all your questions. It wrapped everything up. Tim Allen overcame all of his obstacles and everything else, and he is now the Santa Claus. Like that's exactly what it should be.
I will slightly disagree with you because I think a follow-up for it maybe not necessary, but could have been good if the A story was more about the relationship with the son rather than, oh, we have to get this guy married. Yeah. I think the more interesting aspect of that was a Santa Claus that's trying to maintain a relationship with the son, but that leaves very few opportunities for chuckles because it is kind of a deep territory to go in, especially for a Christmas movie that's not a drama or a dramedy. It is supposed to be pure chuckles, and so they're like, he has to get married. He needs a Mrs. Claus. So there's a Mrs. Claus and the blah, blah, blah. We get it. Bernard, what were you thinking? Anyway, I think that's what would have made a second one better, in my opinion, if that was the main focus.
Yeah. And my mom said she knows it's cheesy, but she likes Gremlins. And yes, Mom, I absolutely agree with you. Gremlins is an amazing Christmas film. And it is what gave us, it is what Gremlins and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the two films that gave us PG-13.
It's still it still kind of creeps me out a little bit whenever I hear the do you see what I see? I'm like,
well, yeah, because that was a scary fucking scene in the movie where the mom is walking around with like a sword in her hand. Like, actually, no, I think that was right before that, but still, like, and you had a gremlin coming out of the damn Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my God. But
that's right up there with Poltergeist, Halloween, and The Exorcist as far as bone-chilling horror themes.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely.
I'm glad it's not just me.
No, Gremlins was creepy as hell when I was a kid. I still watched it, but it was creepy. But either way, I'm actually probably going to have to wrap up my end of this, buddy, just because I've got to be up. I've got to still go do a few things and then wake up early as hell in the morning. I've got to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning here. So,
well, if you got to go, I can bring it home. It's not a problem.
I'll let you know. Let's go ahead and bring it home.
I mean, do you need to go or do you what?
So you're going to go solo?
Yeah, because there's a couple of movies that I have to talk about.
Then that's perfectly fine. Then, then everybody, I'm going to bid you guys absolute adieu. I may continue talking in the chat while I do my other stuff, but yeah, I'm hooked up to everything else, and I can't just switch over. I can't just switch over my phone to continue this. So, you guys have a great night. Happy Black Friday. Hopefully, if you went out Black Friday shopping, hopefully you didn't elbow a granny in the face to get that TV.
And if you did, I hope you were wearing a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask, and after you elbowed her, I hope you did some social distancing there. Okay? Once you hit the ground, you should have already been 6 feet away.
Hand sanitizer.
Sanitize your elbows. Sorry, Granny.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you guys have a great night. And Josh is going to take this home, and I will catch you guys on the next show next week. Bye-bye.
Now that he's gone, we can talk about whatever we want. And it's probably going to be... No, it's definitely going to be more Christmas movies. Okay, the last one from the not, I guess, 21st century is my absolute all-time favorite Christmas movie of all time, bar none. It is A Christmas Story. Yes, the story of Ralphie and his Red Ryder BB gun. It is a wonderful tale of commercialism at its finest. Some kid just wants a toy. And I think 98% of us have all had that one thing we all wanted so badly, and that is what this movie is, being able to put that feeling on screen. And it gives you the feels of, I mean, when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, I get this kid. I get Ralphie. And as an adult, I'm coming at it from the parents' point of view now, and I'm like, that is the look I want to see on Christmas Day when my kids open up the presents. I want them to look at me and say, yes, you nailed this, old man. And you know what? More often than not, that's exactly what happens. But if you want to understand just how much I love this movie, in, what year was it? 2019. I can't believe I'm asking what year. It was last year. Last summer. I should be able to remember this like that. But no, 2020 has been the longest century ever. So, in 2019, let me preface this a little bit. My family goes on vacation. My dad and I take the kids somewhere away from here. We like to see the country. I'd like to show the kids that there's more to the world than the city they live in. And sometimes it's traveling to the country, traveling to the mountains, going to the islands. Well, it's easy to do in Florida. You just drive south. They got bridges that hit these islands up. But last year, there was one destination that became the focus of this family vacation. It is the only reason we even traveled north. It was the one destination that made us go, you know what? We can also go to Hershey Park. We can also go to Gettysburg. We can also do this. We could also do that. But the one place that we had to go, the one place, the singular focus, was Cleveland, Ohio. I know, right? Cleveland. Who goes to Cleveland on a family vacation, like as the center point, as the focus? Well, boys and girls, in Cleveland, Ohio, there's a street, and on that street, they shot a little movie called A Christmas Story. And what happened on that street since the movie was filmed? That's right, somebody bought the house and turned it into a museum for the movie. So not only did I make the pilgrimage to Cleveland, not only did I make the journey to that street, but I had my family in the house, taking family pictures inside like it was Christmas Day, where they were playing with the toys on the floor, where they were holding the Red Ryder BB gun. It was indescribable. I'm just sitting here searching for a word, and there is no word to describe it because it was so amazing. I wish I would have had forethought to kind of upload some of these pictures and play them for you on the Facebook, but it is what it is, hindsight, whatnot. So A Christmas Story, it's the reason why my family and I eat Chinese food on Christmas Day. Yes, that is the thing we do. We eat Chinese food on Christmas Day because of this movie. And because they're really one of the only places that are open, and we don't go anywhere. We don't make trips to relatives' houses on Christmas Day. It's our time to kind of settle in with each other, open presents and enjoy them, rather than having to go place to place to place to place. Don't worry, the family gets seen eventually. It just takes a minute, a couple of days even. But A Christmas Story. I'm going to close the show with a couple of, even though we're 20 years into the 21st century, essentially, there have been a couple of movies, a couple of Christmas movies that I think have made that list of essential Christmas viewing since this millennia has started. First, I'm going to say Elf, Will Ferrell and Zooey Deschanel. Gosh, if there was ever a person to have a crush on, it was Zooey Deschanel. Did I say that out loud? I might be a little tired myself. But yes, it was a fun movie, and it was done with a very... It felt very classic-y. I know it's weird to say, somebody's aiming for that classic feel, but they nailed it and told a pretty fun Christmas story in kind of a new way. Even a new story, Buddy the Elf trying to find his real father after being raised by elves. I guess he's Buddy the Human. Being raised by elves, Bob Newhart, Will Ferrell, Zooey Deschanel. It's a fun movie. It has singing in it. It has Zooey Deschanel singing. I mean, what's not to love? But I understand it has its detractors, and a lot of it has to do with Will Ferrell's comedy. You either love it or you don't. And this isn't the usual, Anchorman, Talladega Nights kind of stuff. This is all, well, I suppose the claymation type deal with no, I'm backtracking on myself here a lot, so I'm sorry. Anyway, it does have some humor in it that isn't classic holiday feel, especially when it comes to what's going on in the background with the animated stuff. It's just a fun movie. Check it out if you haven't watched it. And finally, this is you know what? Yes, this is going to be the last Christmas movie. I will say the Netflix original, The Christmas Chronicles. Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. What? When I first saw this, I was like, there's no way this can be great. I thought there was no way this could be good. But it was good. It was great. And now that there's a sequel out, I have not watched it yet because, again, Christmas watch season has just started. And I'm a very big stickler about, watching the right movies at the right times. So we are going to have a night where we watch it, the first one and the second one. And when I do that, I'll make sure, come on here, leave some comments, and let you know what I thought of it. So The Christmas Chronicles, strangely enough, an amazing Christmas movie, and I absolutely adore it. A very 21st century Christmas story being told. And if that's any indicator of where we can be, by the way, also directed by Chris Columbus, if I'm remembering right. Let me fact check myself real quick. Yes, directed by Chris Columbus. So when you have Chris Columbus, you can't really go wrong with a Christmas movie. That's why the Harry Potter movies always felt so Christmassy. Okay, I don't know if that's why, but I always get the Christmas vibe when I'm watching a Harry Potter movie. Maybe it's because there's a Christmas scene. Anywho, that is the Christmas movie portion, and like I said at the top of the show, I will mention a Hanukkah movie. No, not Fiddler on the Roof, but Adam, you probably, I believe you did call this Ed Crazy Nights, Adam Sandler's animated feature about set in the Hanukkah season. Is it great? No. Is it fun? Yeah, you betcha. It's definitely a way to spend time, and I wouldn't be ashamed of it if it represented my holiday. You could definitely do a lot worse. I know Christmas has gotten a whole lot of bad, just terrible movies. I'm not going to call any Hallmark channels out or anything, but they exist. But yeah, 8 Crazy Nights. Check it out, especially if you're an Adam Sandler fan. If you're an Adam Sandler fan, how come you haven't watched it yet? If you haven't watched it. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. The songs and the ridiculousness is. Oh, it is late. See, I have this thing, boys and girls, that no matter what, I've been off for, this is my 3rd day in a row because of the whole Thanksgiving break. I still can't seem to sleep past 6 a.m. And it's really a grind, on your brain. I think I have one of those. So there's that. And I'm trying to think. Yep. That is basically it. That is. I lost count of how many movies we recommended for this holiday season, but it's certainly more than 40, if I'm not mistaken. And these, I hope you've been taking notes. These should be great watches to get you through the next month, whether you're in quarantine, on lockdown, or out and about doing regular things like Florida. Take some time, check out a few of these movies if you can, and enjoy the season for what it is. And get together. Let's be happy. I thought of something earlier today, and hopefully this becomes a thing. 2020 has been a hard year for a lot of people. I mean, a lot, like billions of people. And at the moment, it seems like there's the ever so slightest reprieve. Not because the coronavirus has slowed down, and not because of any election results, but because there appears to be on the horizon some sort of hope. And I would like, since this is the year that it has been, this is 2020, I would hope that everybody out there takes that little glimmer, that little dot of light on the horizon, and we blow it up. And we blame it on the holiday season. We take the holiday season back. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Doesn't matter what you believe. I think we should take the month of December and make it about sharing, caring, giving, and loving once again. But we have to do it in true 90s style. We have to do it to the extreme. We have to do it in 2020 style. We have to do it to the max. That's why, starting tomorrow, I am going to start tweeting out with hashtag Maximus. MAXMAS. That's right, hashtag Maximus. I'm going to start tweeting out the things that I want to see happen for people to be good to each other. Let's start spreading max love and max togetherness. And stop max separation. Because if there's anything we've learned, especially this year, it's that a lot of us are very divided. And right now, we could use more togetherness than ever. So hashtag Maximus. Let's get that love train rolling. And you could follow that hashtag Maximus. For me, at SkitComic on Twitter. And I believe for Brandon, it is at bjacksman1982, bjackman82, something like that. I don't normally listen when he's, doing it. Probably shouldn't say that out loud. But you can always go to the WADcast.com or WADcastPod on Twitter. That's at WADcastPod. You can go to SemiCoreStudios.com. Those are the websites. It has all the links. Make sure you go to Facebook.com and look for the WADcast or look for Semicore Studios. Give it a like. And you'll be able to see us here every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, doing the live thing. And you can join us in the chat, much like Adam did tonight with his very welcome comments throughout the night, as well as Lisa and Sean. Glad to have you all here with us tonight. Oh, right. For those of you that are still with me, yeah, it's been almost a 2-hour show. I do have some exciting news. A friend of mine, because he hasn't gotten back to me, the silly rabbit, because he hasn't got to me and I don't have a title to give you. But starting very soon, there will be a new show coming to Sam McCord Studios. And no, it doesn't step on the toes of the WADcast, but it will also be entertainment-based, but coming directly from a let's be goofy, weird people kind of way. No, it's different than the WADcast. We're going to make lists. We're going to play games. I said it's different. You'll see when there's a title how it's different. Because we don't talk about the... You know what? I'll wait till I have a full synopsis. But I just wanted to let you know that there is a new show coming. And keep it tuned in wherever you see Sam McCord Studios at the WADcast. And I will make sure the announcement gets made on an official-like basis. Let's see. Brandon, this is the time where you say, well, something, good night. And I'll say it's time for my message of the week. All right, everybody. It's never been more true than it is now. The only thing standing between dreams, the only obstacle, it's up to you to overcome yourself. It is up to you to stop making holes for yourself with that shovel you call excuses and start building bridges, building ladders, getting over your canyons and climbing out of your ravines. It is time to start. Because only you can put your ideas in. Okay, until next week, I'm Josh. We all love you very much.